Hey guys, welcome back to the No Porn Challenge. Today I want to teach you about the 6 core needs. This is a foundational strategy and concept that you need to learn and understand, which will dramatically help you quit porn, quit masturbation for 30 days and maybe even more than that. And let's jump into the training right now. This is huge, really important stuff, and we'll get right into it. Okay, so here we go. What are the 6 core needs? Well, basically, these are the core pillars of a full and satisfied life. Now, I know when I say 6 core needs, life is vast, right? There's so much to it, but this is basically the 6 things that if you address these 6 core things, you will have a satisfied life. And you know what? When you're feeling happy, when you're feeling satisfied and full, you're not going to reach for junk like porn and other things to try and fill that void. So this needs to be addressed, and it's really important. So let's get into it. Here are the 6 core needs. These are the things that almost every human being needs in order to feel satisfied. You got your physical, your emotional, your social, intellectual, sexual, and spiritual cores. These have to be addressed. If we're neglecting any of these, we're gonna feel, low, depressed, you name it. We're gonna have to feel like we need to grasp at anything to feel better. So if these are ignored, this could be the root of the problem for many, many men. Now I quickly want to say something here that's really important. Helping over 200 men get over alcohol, get over porn, and masturbation in many cases, I found something interesting. When we have an exercise at the end of this training where I'm going to ask you to rate yourself in each one of these categories. We'll dive into the categories in a little bit and go in a little more detail, but what I found is individuals that rated themselves low scores in any of these categories, they had a really hard time quitting. And they might make it, 2, 3, 4 days, versus the guys who scored really high in all of these categories. They often didn't even need a coach. They didn't even need any help. They managed to do 30 days no problem, and I just sat back and enjoyed them reap the benefits of, quitting. So it's really important to address these. So let's get into them in a little bit more detail. So first category is physical. Now this is your physical activity on a daily basis, how well your overall health is, and what your nutrition and life fuel look like. So obviously, if you feel like crap and you're unhealthy, you're gonna have cravings that are unmanageable, right? So by peaking and being in your best shape, you're going to, and having a lot of physical activity during the day, you're gonna feel a lot better. The second one is your emotional category, and this is your mood, your emotional energy, and how nourished do you feel internally. A lot of guys might be physically at a 10, but then emotionally they're a mess. So this is an area that has to be handled. The next one is social. So important. Connection, community, your tribe, your relationships. You need to be getting filled up and not being drained in this area. And I find a lot of problems, specifically with this goal, revolve around a lot of men having isolated themselves, having no social system, no support, and that is a huge mistake that makes it almost impossible to get ahead with this goal and try to avoid cravings. Now, here's something interesting. One phone call to a friend or a family member can release almost equal amounts of oxytocin and serotonin, the hormones that make porn so addictive. I mean, if you're lacking in this, you're gonna try and grab it and fill the void in other places, right? So if you can handle this category, you're gonna get a lot of those feel-good hormones, those good chemicals, and you're less likely to depend on porn. So this is an area that has to be focused on. The intellectual category is great. Intellectual stimulation releases dopamine, all sorts of other good feel-good hormones. So this is your learning, whether it's through YouTube, podcasts, reading books, taking courses, traditional school system, pursuing hobbies, sports, you name it. And a lot of times this can be fun too. If you're doing fun learning, you're going to be firing off all sorts of things in your brain, and you're not going to depend on things like porn for stimulation, right? So this is an important area that cannot be missed. Most of the guys watching this probably don't have a problem here. You're probably avid learners, which is excellent. So keep that up. Spiritual. So this is a very personal category. And this has to do with your beliefs, your values, your virtues, and basically your worldview. This is your vision, your purpose. Do you feel like you're here for a reason? And your practice around spirituality. So spirituality is huge. It's very important. And I don't talk enough about it. And I think I'm going to dedicate a full section of this training to spirituality because I love it so much. And it's just such a great, important thing. Moving along, we've got the sexual category. Now, a lot of guys will be like, okay, well, they have this negative impression of sexuality, but it's not. Sex is good. Sex is healthy. Sex is like, sexual desire is a core human need. Now, like hunger, sex and hunger, they say, use the same part of the brain. Now, here's the thing. There's such thing as eating healthy and eating poorly. And it's the same with sexuality. Are you behaving in a sexually unhealthy way, or are you able to get your needs met sexually in a healthy way? So being able to kind of define that is really important. Now, the sexual category can be good old-fashioned lovemaking with a person that you connect with. Maybe you're married or you're in a really meaningful, loving relationship. Then, working on your sexual satisfaction there is going to be really important, because if you're not sexually satisfied and you haven't worked through that, you're going to have cravings for other sources, right? Here's what I'm going to say about sexuality. If you're single, it doesn't have to mean physical contact. There are so many different degrees and ways to get sexual satisfaction. That could be something creative. It could be through your social circle. I feel like sexuality is interwoven into everything. So, even having going out and smiling and getting a smile back, that can sort of charge you up and fill you up. So sex doesn't always have to mean physical contact. That's just, I think, very one-dimensional to think that's the only and the all, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Here's the reality. If you neglect any of these 6 categories, you're always going to feel like something is missing. If we're satisfied, we are less likely to fill the void with harmful fillers, including food, sex, porn, technology, alcohol, drugs. If you look at society, they're just grasping at everything to try and fill that void inside, right? So by addressing the 6 core needs in a healthy way, you're going to basically hit all those pillars and you're going to feel great. You're not going to need as strongly to grasp onto things. So here's the exercise for today. I simply want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in each of those categories and ask yourself, how satisfied are you in each one of those categories on a scale of 1 to 10? Here they are again: physical, emotional, social, intellectual, sexual, and spiritual. If you feel confident, comment below what you scored in each one of these, and I'm gonna jump in there and take a look. I'd love to see what you guys are scoring. And again, what I've mentioned here is this isn't a competition. There is no right or wrong answer with this. Sometimes scoring lower is better, because then what we're going to talk about later in our training is setting these secondary goals where you address each one of these core needs and you set yourself up on a plan to work on them. And if you score low today, no worries. We'll do this again at the end of our training, and it'd be interesting to see if you made progress, if you bumped some of your numbers up. Another thing that I've noticed is if you're working on these categories and you're looking to improve on them and potentially get a higher score in each category, that journey of improvement can often be enough to release so many feel-good hormones that you don't really need porn. So you don't have to score a 10 out of 10 on everything, but knowing it, working on a system to enhance your life, addressing these 6 core needs, simply by addressing them and making a plan and starting the journey, that's often enough to get you out of that funk, right? So that's basically it. That's the training around the 6 core needs I want to share with you. I look forward to sharing more videos with you. We will see you tomorrow for the next training.